Hello and welcome to Boomer Live. That was some game we had, and you wouldn't believe it. Lucknow were just chasing 145 and they lost the game by 62 runs. Yes, you heard it right. They've been balled out for 82 runs by the Gujarat Titans. All thanks to Rashid Khan, Sai Sudarshan, Yash Dayal. It was a complete bowling performance, and Gujarat Titans have officially now qualified for the playoffs, the first team to do it so in this year's IPL, and they go on top of the table. Just not that, the Titans get the double over the Giants, and they'll be very happy in the clash of the newbies, of course. I have Sandipani to talk about the match. Sandipani, what did you make of that second innings? Because that was a bizarre chase, wasn't it? Because you don't expect a team to capitulate for just 82 runs, chasing 144. And we've seen it time and time again in this very ground, the Pune Stadium, where the teams are getting balled for a very low score. The teams are able to successfully defend any score in excess of 140, but nobody would ever expect a team getting balled below 100 over here, and that to a team of Lucknow's caliber because they have been in top form as well.
Yeah, I mean, Lucknow has been in top form, but we have always emphasized on the fact that Lucknow's batting is totally dependent on KL Rahul, Quinton de Kock, and Deepak Hooda. If these three players are not getting, at least two of the three are not getting good scores, Lucknow Super Giants are crumbling under pressure. I
Yeah,
think one thing that they could have done tonight, I was happy that they at least brought in an extra batter. Uh,
right,
Unfortunately, it did not work out for them because he was playing his first game. But you have to understand that this has to be the combination. Bring in like a somebody like a Manish Pandey in at number 4. You can't go into a game with eight like all-rounder bowling options.
right,
They just have the three specialist batsmen.
right.
That too, Ayush Badoni is
You
more of
reckon
used like a, yeah.
somewhere there, today's game would be an eye opener because until now they were on a winning run, of course. And once you're on a winning run, you wouldn't want to tinker with your combinations much. But a game like this, just before playoffs, would be an eye opener for many teams, isn't it? And it would be just for Lucknow Super Giants as well. What do you reckon about that?
Yeah, I think it. I don't know about it being an eye opener of sorts, but I think that they experimented a bit because they know that 16 points have ensured their qualification. Now they just want to finish in the top two because some of the experimental choices that we saw that, for example, dropping someone like a Ravi Bishnoi, it was kind of a tricky call. You may even consider dropping one of your all-rounders who are not performing because all the players for them have been turning out to be very good. But dropping somebody like a Ravi Bishnoi shows that they are in here, like they feel that they are comfortable in the points table and they can experiment a bit.
Right.
So both the teams, but I think in case of Gujarat Titans, it was more out of desperate measures
Right.
than having that luxury of trying out new players.
Right.
But fortunately, it worked. We have been speaking about Sai Kishore for a long time now. Uh, that with as the pitches sort of start to wear and tear down, slow down a bit, Sai Kishore will come in very handy. And today we saw
Absolutely.
exactly why.
I mean, today's pitch was nothing but a weird kind of a pitch, because it wasn't easy to bat at all. And that's where you give so much more prominence and importance to innings of what Shubman Gill played. Because his strike rate would just look like, okay, he might have played for the stats, he's a stat padder, blah, blah, etc. But then that innings was so crucial in today's victory, isn't it? Because that's what made the difference between winning and losing for Gujarat Titans ultimately.
We saw classy power hitters like Matthew Wade, Hardik Pandya struggle. So that basically means that the pitch was not easy to bat on. The ball was slowing a bit, was holding on to the pitch,
Yeah, it was two paced.
and
I just
yeah,
felt
it was two
the
pace.
wicket is not slow as what you see in a possibly a Chennai wicket or anywhere else in India,
Yeah,
but it has got a
yeah,
smooth
definitely.
bounce, which is
Yeah.
helping not just the spinners but also the pacers.
But Pacers, yeah, exactly. And also, I felt, having spoken about the wicket, I felt somewhere around 150 would be par
Yeah,
at this. I mean, scoring 144, you would always place your bets on the person on the team that is chasing. Because personally, I felt that sort of 150 would have been par on this, as have been the case in quite a lot of matches. We haven't seen such collapses, but I think that opening spell from Mohammad Shami We spoke about it in the premier in our preview that Mohammad Shami against the how they go about against the Lucknow openers will be very important because he was in good rhythm. It's just that he built so much pressure from one end. The first
Yeah,
2 overs did not go for anything. Yash Dayal just came in from the other end and just reaped the rewards from Shami.
yeah.
It was very good that Shami at least got to dismiss KL Rahul. Again, a very interesting matchup that we have been talking about. So we
Yeah, but
got
the
some,
funny
I
part
mean,
is,
most of the matches working.
that particular over, KL Rahul wasn't getting any runs. 4 balls he played dot, and it was very obvious that KL Rahul will take a risk in the fifth ball. He just pitched it up, ball just climbed on him, and he tried to go for the pull. And of course, Saha is as safe as anything. But
Yeah.
it was a very funny incident over there. We planned to do a Twitter space for a watch along from the 15th over. But Lucknow Super Giants was like, "Hey, अपनी बारी है, हम तुम लोगों का करने नहीं दूंगा." And that's exactly what happened. They just got all out before even we could start the Twitter space. But don't worry, we'll be doing that very soon. The watch along Twitter space. Just putting the
I
promotions
think
right
you
there.
guys should not plan it when Punjab Kings are batting second, and you guys are planning to do it from the 15th over onwards. That too against someone like Punjab Kings, because even they can sort of stutter like this along the way. Even KKR. So
Yeah,
we
I
had
mean,
a sort of a KKR-esque performance from Lucknow tonight.
yeah.
I mean, they just
Did
crumbled.
this did this match reminisce you of the game which you had against Lucknow Super Giants as well? Because it was a very
Did
similar.
this match reminisce you of the match that you had against Sunrisers Hyderabad, Abel?
Yeah, I mean, it did. It did. I mean, we're not here for the banter, guys. So we'll
Yeah,
just
yeah.
talk about the match
So
now. Yeah, because if we
yeah,
start with the
but
banter, I think this show will just be a banter show. It'll just keep
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
going.
We will have a show for that.
Yeah, we definitely will. Because as long as KKR do not
So
qualify, he can't bring his best. Slightly putting it there.
I'll let that pass. I'll just let that pass.
Well,
So yeah, so KL Rahul, I think again we always discussed that the matchup was going to be very important. I think the wise thing for someone like KL Rahul should have been to sort of let it go, just play out Shami, because he was just going to bowl that over, and we always knew that uh, Hardik Pandya is going to save at least one over from him at the death.
right.
So not exactly the death in the 15th, 16th over. So they just had to play that over out because Deepak Huda has showed that he can play the anchors. Like he was playing from the other end, but he ultimately lost out of partners. I would have been very happy if they would have sort of promoted Ayush Badoni up the order, because
Hmm.
I feel that Badoni at number 6 is not the player that Gautam Gambhir expects him to be. I think he is more like a player who can build you those innings. I have said
Right.
again and again, because he can nudge the ball around, he can pick up those singles. He just does not. He has that power hitting game as well,
Right.
but he can go through gears. We have seen in the last game also against Gujarat Titans, Lucknow collapsed. They lost the first 3 wickets very cheaply, and then Deepak Huda and Ayush Badoni stabilized the ship. So
True.
it would have been happy if I would have been happy if he would have come in at number 4 instead of coming in at number 6,
Hmm.
bringing Krunal Pandya ahead of him. I get it that he is in some good sort of form, but I would have preferred if somebody like a Ayush Badoni or say a Marcus Stoinis would have come up the order.
Yeah,
But
that's a
it's
very
very
interesting
clear.
point what you make on
Yeah,
Ayush Badr. But more than that, on Marcus Choice is what I feel. Because
yeah,
Marcus Choice, for whatever team he plays, just barring Australia there, Melbourne Stars, for whatever league he plays, where he always bats in the opening or he bats in the top three. You've seen him do that even with Delhi Capitals in the qualifiers as
yeah.
well back in 2020. So you know the kind of player he is and what he can possess. Because right now, anyways giving him the chance with the ball. So he's possibly going to come in and bat at the 15th, 16th over, and maybe if it gets going, he gets going, or else he just doesn't give you anything at all. Do you reckon at this point of time, in such situations, you need someone like a Marcus Jones to be batting at number 3, which could possibly be a very good option for some team like a Lucknow Super Giants, because if he can go out there and set the tone, set the momentum, go out there, play a quick fire knock of 30, 35, which will possibly do the job for Lucknow Super Giants, that would be very ideal, isn't it? Because you have a finisher in Jason Holder back there. Kunal Pandya also is very, very capable of finishing innings off. And if you're looking at Ayush Badoni, because he's had 3 successful finishes for this team, maybe you want him to be a finisher at a longer. If you're looking at the longer term vision, and that's maybe a good thing as well. What I feel, because in India you have so many batsmen who can do the job in the top order, but you do have very rare players who can do the job finishing the games, and it's not a quality which everybody has it, right? And if this particular kid has it, means it's better to invest in him right now, We've seen that experiment going now on with Rian Parag. It's not yet come off. Maybe only once or twice it has. Maybe that's what they're looking at. Someone like an Ayush Badoni as well. What do you reckon on that?
Yeah, but I think today's according to they have to go according to the match situation, right? In some days when Quinton de Kock will get out early, you can even try out somebody like a Marcus Stoinis at number 3 instead of Deepak Hooda. Given understandably so the with the form that he is in. So I feel that Marcus Stoinis also can come in at number 3 for them, and Deepak Hooda can come in at number 4 depending on the situation.
संदीप भाई, आप
Uh,
हिंदी में बोलना चाहूंगा वही बात.
या मतलब मैं बेसिकली बोलना चाहता हूँ कि मार्कस टॉइनिस कैन वैसे भी वो ऊपर भी आ सकता है एट नंबर 3 3 नंबर पे अगर वो बैटिंग करेगा तो मुझे लगता है कि दीपक हुडा नंबर 4 पे भी अच्छे से बैटिंग कर लेगा क्योंकि क्विंटन डिकॉक अगर जल्दी आउट हो जाता है किसी गेम पे तो मार्कस टॉइनिस 3 पे आना इन लोगों के लिए ज्यादा इन्वेस्टेबल लगता है और इन लोगों को मैच सिचुएशन भी समझना चाहिए जैसे आज हम लोगों ने देखा कि बहुत जल्दी जल्दी कोई बैट्समैन स्टेडीली रह ही नहीं पा रहा था इस सिचुएशन में जब 3 विकेट पावर प्ले के अंदर गिर गया तो इंस्टेड ऑफ कृणाल पांड्या बेटर होता अगर आयुष बदोनी को ऊपर लाया जाता
हाँ वही
सो आई
वही
थिंक
सही
दैट्स
है.
समथिंग दे कैन पॉन्डर ऑन या
Yeah, I think that's the end of our Hindi segment. Thank you, Ranjit Kumar. We'll try to do it. We'll mix and match with the Hindi thing. But yeah, let's talk about Gujarat Titans, of course, and Rashid Khan because he did not had the best of the first phase of the IPL where he was struggling to pick up wickets. That's mainly because even the wickets were fresh, and secondly, the batsmen also were looking to play him out. But now, towards the latter end of the IPL, where the wickets are turning, he's coming into play a lot more than it. It's been 2 games in a row. He's picked up 6 wickets, and today's game especially, the onus was on him to deliver, and boy didn't he deliver. Alongside him, let's have a special mention on that player because we all were eager for his debut, and finally he had debuted. It was Sai Kishore. Sai Kishore has been a tremendous player for Tamil Nadu in the domestic circuit because he's been leading Tamil Nadu to several finals, and he's been the leading wicket taker as well, not just in Syed Mustaqil Trophy, Vijay Hazare Trophy, now even Ranji Trophy as well. Finally, we got to see him, and he also had a very good match. What do you reckon about this spin duo going ahead? Because do you reckon Sai Kishore featuring in the 11 in the playoffs or in the latter part of the tournament, or was it just one off? You reckon?
No, I definitely don't think it was just one off because we told about this, spoke about
Yeah,
this in the preview that Loki
absolutely.
Ferguson and Alzari Joseph were not working for them. Like
Yeah,
both in tandem were not giving them the spells that they want to because Loki Ferguson was even expensive at the death. So bringing in Yash Dayal, I think can be a one-off choice because they can probably stick to him for the next 2 games. I think they can stick to Sai Kishore and Yash Dayal for at least one game and then right before the playoff they can even consider getting Loki Ferguson back. But I think Sai Kishore was a very strategical call. It was very good because the pitches are starting to wear and tear. We have been seeing that in the last few days in the second innings, the batting team has struggled to go past 100, 120, 130. They have sort of crumbled under pressure, under the scoreboard pressure. So
right,
now teams will be going ahead. Teams will also be looking to post something around 160 and sort of come out and try and defend it. And
right,
as we get to the business end, I'm not talking about the playoffs because we'll have fresh pitches over there. So it will
right.
again depend on what conditions we
That's
get
an
at Eden
interesting point
Gardens
what
and
you made there
yeah.
because Sai Kishore can also contribute with the bat as well, and he adds value on the field. He's a good fielder as well. So now going ahead in the tournament, I reckon teams are going to prefer more spinners, and it's quite evident. You saw the game against RCB with Sunrisers as well, where RCB possessing a lot more spin resources, which made them win over Sunrisers Hyderabad. They had almost 8 bowling options, out of which 4 were spinners. And even today, you saw 2 spinners doing the job. And I reckon going ahead, you saw Moeen Ali being fantastic against Delhi Capitals. So are you now
Yeah.
seeing a pattern where teams might just look to drop one of the fast bowlers, bring in a spinner from the bench, and just say that okay, we might be able to defend. And also just adding to that, do you reckon that teams will be looking to chase, looking to put scores on the board from here on? Because the first half of the IPL we saw a lot more duos in play because of extensive summers in Mumbai and other parts of the country as well, but especially Mumbai because the tournament is in Mumbai. The dew factor was a huge role over there because of the high humidity. But now humidity has seemed to cease down slightly. Dew factor is also lessening down. Now going ahead in the IPL, especially the latter part, we have got close to 20 games now. You reckon that teams will prefer to bat first and just put the score on the board. The scoreboard pressures in a must-win match is always so important, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge factor, especially because Dew has not been playing a very important factor in this series, in this tournament so far. Because apart from say one or two games where the conditions were really soaky wet in the second innings, it has been very good conditions for bowling in the second innings as well. Because there has not been much dew in especially in Pune, so we can
Yes,
see that
just taking
players.
that up. I think we have a fan from Allahabad. Nice, Ranjit Kumar. I think
Yeah.
I guessed it right.
Yeah, Allahabad. Yes, they are. Yeah, so I think as the pitches are starting to slow down, we'll see a lot more spinners coming in. All the teams have started to employ spinners. Even we saw that RCB are sort of treating Siraj as their sixth bowling option.
Yeah,
Maxwell is sort of their fifth bowling option right now. So we have to understand that the pitches are having wear and tear, and this is very common if you are going to have 50 70 games in just three venues, 4 5 venues across the same state. No matter how many pitches you sort of switch over, you are going to have 3 or 4 games at the same, like in the same pitch. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the teams go, especially the teams who are in need of desperate wins. For
right,
example, Delhi Capitals, or say Punjab Kings, Sunrisers Hyderabad,
right.
they can certainly,
Can
somebody like
Delhi
especially
Capitals
like
bring
Punjab
in
Kings.
a new player? I'm not doing a preview, but then as we took their name, can they bring in Siddharth Maniraman, who is Sai Kishore's compatriot in the Tamil Nadu setup? He's had a tremendous season alongside Sai Kishore whenever he balls along with him. Just as a replacement for one of the fast bowlers, just to make sure that even if the pitch turns, it could be a good matchup as well for a couple of left-handers. Because tomorrow, remember that they don't have a Shimran Hetmeyer as well. Maybe he could be a good option, isn't it?
No, but you have to understand that Delhi Capitals, they already have Akshar Patel and Kuldeep Yadav who are going to give them 8 overs. And also, if you want to add to that, if Lalit Yadav eventually plays the game, then they have potentially 12 overs of spin. And we have seen Rishabh Pant sort of rely on spinners. We saw that he was over reliant on somebody like a Lalit Yadav, even in the later stages of the game. Uh, so yeah, it's been very interesting. It will be very interesting if sort of Delhi Capitals opt for somebody like a Siddharth Maniraman. But I don't think so. But I don't think so. I think they have a they will stick to their lineup that they played within the last game, because uh, the batting has been sort of their issue. The bowling was always fine because Kuldeep Yadav was contributing. But recently we have seen that teams, like, they have been targeting Umran Malik. A lot of teams have been going after Kuldeep Yadav really early in his spell. And whenever a team does that, it sort of catches you off guard. And then somebody even as experienced as Kuldeep Yadav struggles to sort of come back. So we know he's a class act, and I think 4 overs from Kuldeep Yadav and 4 overs from Akshar Patel will be enough for Delhi Capitals
Absolutely.
tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to go for them. But before we end the show, let's talk about some more about Gujarat Titans. Now they've qualified into the playoffs. Do you reckon that they would want to try out a lot more players in the coming couple of games, because they have a game against Chennai Super Kings on the 15th, and finally they play RCB on the 19th? Because these two games could be so crucial. Because if at all they lose momentum as well, it'll be very tough to go into the playoffs. We've seen it time and time again. Momentum is a very key factor, especially in a stage like playoff. But at the same time, you don't want any of your players to be injured at this particular phase. I know it's a double-edged sword, and you have quite a lot of questions to ponder upon. What will be the ideal way to go in such a situation?
I think the team that played today will be fit to play against CSK unless there are any injuries, or probably whether if they decide to bring back Sai Sudarshan in place of somebody like Yes Dayal. But I don't think that is going to happen, because they are. I think they're going to stick with Sai Kishore for the remainder of the games now, because he was very impressive today, and they will have to understand that. Against They should not experiment much, because they still need one win out of the two games that they have to sort
Yeah,
of assure their position in the top two. more or less with 18 points, I believe that they have made a safe place for them in the top two of the
I
points
mean,
table.
who else can
Just
possibly
to be sure,
challenge them at this stage? It is
I think
Rajasthan
Rajasthan
Royals
Royals have 3 games
and
left.
yeah, but right there, but Rajasthan Royals play Lucknow Super Giants as well. So that means one of the team is going to drop points. So one of the team can only get to 16 points. Which means it could be either Lucknow,
No,
even
no,
if
no, no.
Lucknow
But
defeats KKR, net
yeah,
run rate comes into play because today's loss has been a huge effect on their will have
no, no.
huge
But
effect on the net
Rajasthan can win
NRI.
the other games, right? Rajasthan can lose to Lucknow Super Giants and win the other 2 games to end on 18. And I think
Yeah,
RR has
even
a very
even if
good
that
net run rate.
happens, even if that happens
Yeah.
with the run rate what Gujarat Titans possesses at this particular time, I reckon Gujarat Titans would have possibly seen the position at number one or number two. Either they can go to number two. I don't reckon they'll come in at number three, number four at this very point.
Yeah, but if they are that confident, even I feel that they can't come below 2. But if they are that confident with that setup, then probably we are going to see way more experiments in the next 2 games. But
Yeah,
I don't think that they will ponder too much with their
but that's my
balance in
exact
the game against
question. Is that
RCB.
even if they are so confident, okay, now
Yeah,
they've qualified, how do you balance that? You don't want to risk your players for injury, and also you want to experiment just before playoffs so that that you try out your bench resources as well. Because at at times you might have a situation where your main player is injured, or if you have a Shubman Gill is injured, would you want to try out someone from the bench? You want to try someone like Rahmanullah Gurbaz at number three. These options can be considered, isn't it?
I think that is exactly what they had in mind, and that is why Matthew Wade got today's game. I think
Yeah.
they were sort of looking at a replacement, whether they have a opening replacement or not. Since Rahmanullah Gurbaz did not play today's game, I highly doubt that he is going to now make an appearance in this tournament. But we never know. In the next 2 games, probably you might see Gurbaz coming
Yeah.
in place of Matthew Wade. So
Right.
that is one replacement that Lucknow can think of.
It'd be very interesting if Rahmanullah Gurbaz comes into the lineup at
Yeah,
all
Gujarat can think of. Yeah.
because if Rahmanullah Gurbaz walks into this lineup, it'll be very interesting because he's a very exciting prospect to watch, and his ability in T20 format especially. So I'll be looking forward to that change. Rahmanullah Gurbaz still, I reckon, is a better option than Matthew Wade in Asian conditions.
Yeah.
Matthew Wade, we all
And
remember
especially
for
if
that
you are
one
playing
particular
Matthew
match.
Wade at number 3, Matthew Wade is
Yeah.
very dangerous if you are opening the batting with him. If you
And
want to
Rahmanullah
persist
Gurbaz
with
starts
someone
at
at
number
number
three for
3,
Afghanistan,
yeah,
right?
Afghanistan. Exactly.
Right.
That I was coming to that because if you are trying to persist with someone who can come in at number 3 and you have that opening slot ready
And you
for
reckon
Shubman.
it is possibly a tactical call to have a left-hander in the top three?
Yeah, it can be a tactical call because if you see that most of their like early top 4 are right-handers. So if David Miller and Rahul Tewatia are coming in at number 5 and number 6, they are the only 2 left-handers in the lineup. So I think they could have, but you have to understand that Matthew Wade is not in the right form right now.
Yeah,
You can only use those left hand right hand combinations if your batsman is in form. If your batsman is getting out anyway, then what's the point of getting a left hander and a right hander in?
right.
Because he's not scoring anyway.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a very valid point at this point. Mainly because Rahmanullah Gurbaz is a very potent player, but then he's going to be a untested commodity out there. We don't know how he's going to react to such a pressure situation. I know he's played most of his games against associate nations, and he's got very good record against them. And also in whatever leagues he's played, the competition when it compares to IPL is much less. So that's what I feel
Yeah,
personally, at least, and that's what
yeah,
many would
definitely.
agree to me as well. But let's talk about Lucknow Super Giants here for one last time. Lucknow Super Giants will be having two big games from here on. One against Rajasthan Royals, and last game they play against Kolkata Knight Riders, who they absolutely demolished in the first encounter. But from here on as well, as we spoke about Gujarat Titans, if they have a slip up, how big a factor it could be.
No, I think if who slips up, if Gujarat Titans slips up,
No, no, I'm
I
talking
think
about
they,
Lucknow Super
yeah,
Giants. If they slip
yeah,
up,
Lucknow can definitely slip up because they have 2 very tough matches if you ask me, because Kolkata in the last game, Brendan McCullum clearly mentioned that they're going to stick to the 11 that played in the last game for the next two as well, unless there is any injury or unless
I mean,
Umesh
I
Yadav
reckon
comes back.
that lineup was very good. Whatever, yesterday we couldn't
Yeah,
come
yeah,
and
yeah.
analyze that game because of technical difficulties, but also we are
Yeah,
definitely
so but
speaking about it.
yesterday we saw that Venkatesh Iyer coming in. He was hungry for runs.
Yeah,
He showed that intent, which actually brought him to limelight. And
yeah.
even say a Varun Chakravarti was pitching the ball up. He was not afraid of getting hit. He was not bowling those
I mean,
wide outside of.
that's the
Yeah,
positive side of Brendan McCullum, isn't it? Because there are
yeah,
two sides to
definitely.
Brendan McCullum. One is he experiments a lot. Number two is that he actually instills that fearless brand of cricket upon players, which makes the players go out there and perform. Once you give that security saying that go out there, do it for me, that's what Venkatesh Iyer got in the last season. Varun Chakravarti possibly have got that back. I
Yeah,
think Kolkata Knight Riders will be a dangerous side to play at this point of time, and that's why
yeah.
Lucknow to be very, very wary of this Kolkata Knight Riders side, and also Rajasthan Royals will be looking to get one more win and get to that top two spot as well.
Yeah, so exactly, Lucknow Super Giants have to work hard, and we have seen that their bowling suit is very strong. Bowling is the strongest suit out of the two, and their bowling is very strong. And whenever we see Rahul or a Quinton de Kock not getting those early runs, say even a Deepak Huda can't alone save the team. You have to have at least two of the top three to score big for Lucknow Super Giants to be like imposing that kind of fearless cricket that they have shown in the tournament so far,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
KL Rahul has scored 300 460 odd runs
yeah.
this season. Even Quinton de Kock has had a very good season, 350 odd runs in the season, even a Deepak Huda.
Deepak Huda,
So
yeah.
they are just, yeah, so they are just relying on these three players to get them those runs. It's not bad to rely
But
on
it's
your
not
top three,
that
but
often
over
you see
reliant
these
is.
two players fail as well. So you can you can give that leeway to Lucknow Super Giants. But on a bad day like this, when these three fails, then you see
Yeah.
another picture of Lucknow Super Giants all of a sudden. I mean,
Yeah, and
that's
they
all.
will be very wary because Gujarat Titans have got the better of them twice. And Gujarat Titans is someone whom they are likely to meet in the qualifier one if
I mean,
sort
we are
of
seeing
all
that
the things
very
go right
often
now.
as well. When a team gets two against them in the group stages, by
Yeah,
the time you go to playoffs and play them, you still have that. You will be having those
confidence over them.
old memories, confidence,
Yeah,
momentum from the previous games. Everything plays a factor, and we've seen that so often that the teams who have got two out of you, two better of you in the group stage, always going to do better against you in the playoffs as well. But having said that, let's talk about the fantasy side of things and how would you better yourself in that particular format. Sandipani, how did your day go and who was your best bet today?
I think I had an okayish day, not the best I have been having for the last 4 days, but I had
Yeah,
a good day. No, I got all my investments back because
yeah.
I sort of really relied heavily on Sai Kishore. I made him my vice captain in one of the teams.
Wow.
The only player that did not work for me was Marcus Stoinis tonight. Other
Yeah,
than that, all those players, all my other 10 players gave me good amount of points, and
yeah.
I had a very good day. Good day.
I was a little skeptical on keeping Yash Dayal and Sai Kishore in my team. Sai Kishore, I just felt initially I should keep him, but then somewhere I felt maybe Chamira might have a better game considering the Pune wicket as a steep bounce. He might be potent against someone like a Saha or even I felt against Hardik Pandya. But then unfortunately he couldn't do well at all. Shubman Gill was the one who was targeting him completely, and you know how good Shubman Gill loves short balls. But yeah, no, those are kind of days you want to conquer and do better from next time around. And I request you
Yeah.
all to play the fantasy contest on Boomer 11 because the link is there in the bio, and you can play fantasy contest for free, absolutely free of cost, and win prizes worth up to $5,000. So what are you waiting for? Just get onto the app right now and make your team so that you can get a lot of rewards. You can challenge your friends as well because you will ultimately have the bragging rights if you defeat one of your friends or maybe many of your friends, of course. And also, guys, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the bell icon so that whenever we go live, you get that notification. We also bring you some really good content on different sports like football. Watch our latest review on the preview on the World Cup groups as well because we've done a preview on that. And also follow us on Twitter because that's where we'll be doing the preview of every game and we'll be doing the fantasy predictions right there alongside Jones, Sandipani, and also Crazy Nicks. So you don't want to miss out on any of those content what we provide over there, and also our Instagram page where we'll be providing you all with the top 5 fantasy segment and also with some of the funny memes which you all love. So, having said that, thank you, Sandipani, for joining. It was a fantastic game of cricket for Gujarat
Yeah,
Titans and not so good for the Giants, of course. They'll be really wanting to come back, rejuvenate, and come back strong against the Rajasthan Royals. They have a good break. And thank you, Sandipani.
yeah,
Have a good day.
yeah. Have a good day. Thanks.